Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay.
Let's go for prayer. Pray God's word made into us this morning. Pray that food I'm about to receive. Pray that my dad gives a good message for us to listen to. Take it home. Live it well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right.
No, I don't think so. Hang on a second.
Well, welcome to Wednesday night Bible class. Welcome to everybody online. Tonight, our topic will be, what is faith? What? Our topic tonight is, what is faith? We have different verses about faith in the Bible. But let's go to Hebrews 11 and 1, where it says, now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Tonight, we're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about 4 great men in the Bible of faith who went through faith, even in the worst of times. Now, starting with our first person who's coming up to the witness about faith is Abram. Now, we know Abram's father, Terah, took him from Ur all the way to Haran, where his father had passed away. But God came to him, said, get out thy father's country. I'm going to show you a place I'm going to promise you. So Abram took his wife and his nephew Lot. They traveled all the way down to Canaan. Now, once he got into Canaan, God did something to him. Anybody know what God did to him? He spoke. Dexter, he spoke to him. He spoke to him. Spoke to him saying, told him that he's going to make his seed a mighty nation. Greta?
He changed his name from Abram to Abraham.
Changed his name to Abram to Abraham. That means that he was the father of all nations. Now, here's the question for you. How many of us is up and leave to go somewhere that we never been by faith? But we went up, we knew we never been somewhere. Look at Abraham. Abraham left his land that he never ever been, but he obeyed God and went to this new land. Now, you think Abram was not afraid? You think he was afraid? Yeah. I mean, come on, he's leaving something that was more safe to him. He used to go somewhere that he never been. But God promised. God said, I'm gonna take you to a place. I promise it's gonna be yours. This is your land. Abraham could have said a lot of stuff. He could have said, well, God, I don't know. But he kept his faith. He kept his faith. He kept his truth. Now, I know we always saying, well, we have faith. Do we truly have faith like Abraham? Or do we call ourselves having faith? That's the question to the floor. Do we truly have faith or do we call ourselves having faith?
Sometimes you have faith, sometimes you don't have faith. Supposed to obey God.
Right. We're supposed to obey God and keep the faith. But, go ahead, Greg.
We have faith until it's tested. And that's when we realize how strong our faith is. Abraham, as you were saying, his faith was being tested. And he had not only did he show God, but he proved to him, even himself, his love for God, which carried his actions through, which is faith, is your actions.
Now, even though Abraham did what God said, obeyed, and went to this new land, Abraham knew for a fact. Did he have anything to worry about truth? He had faith. Now, if faith true, did he have anything to worry about? Why did he have to worry about? Say it again. Because God was good. God had his back. God said, I will take care of it. All you got to do is listen. God tells all of that all the time. Listen. Listen to faith. Faith tells you what God tells you. Faith tells you trust. Faith tells you to believe. Can you have faith and not trust? Can you have faith and not believe? So why when we have things happen to us, we say we have faith, but then when it comes down to it, we just don't believe. In the beginning. But Abraham had the faith. I'm going to show you how Abraham's faith points to Christ. Now, Abraham went to a land that he never been. God told him, I want you to go to this new land. This is a land I'm going to give to you. Christ had nowhere to lay his head. I think Christ said, the foxes have holes, the birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. But we know that Abraham was the father of many nations. Christ is an everlasting father for us. God came to Abraham and made a covenant with him in the new land. Christ made a covenant of peace, a promise for us. So he's telling us, you want to get to heaven, you got to go through me. You want to get to heaven, you have to obey. That's what Christ did. Now, here's the thing I want to know. Do we truly trust God? Do we have faith? Do we trust him 100%? So, let's see. Go ahead.
I would say yes, and yes, because there are times we do, certain situations come and we have no other option but to trust God, and so we go and we do, and then sometimes we don't, and this might be a similar situation in this particular time is somehow different enough to make us doubt or question or worry in a way that doesn't allow us to see God immediately. And so I think yes and no. You know, sometimes my faith is really strong and I can move with confidence, and other times it's not as strong and I'm not moving with that confidence in Christ. And so I worry and I doubt. And the thing about Abraham and same as us is that at some point we remember that God is sovereign and that He takes care of us, and then we reestablish the faith again. So you know and I think that's the key, that we remember and that we repent for not, and we go forward.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna pick somebody and I'm gonna trust faith. Ian, come in. Oh, come here, Ian. Ian, you trust me?
Yeah.
Good. Look towards that wall. Like this.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, Ann says she trusts me.
Yeah.
Ann,
Yes.
fall back. Now, here's the question. No, you can sit back down.
That's all right.
Now, here's the question. The question ain't to the person who's catching, but it's the person who's falling. How'd you feel, Ann?
I knew you weren't gonna let me fall.
That's all right, sis.
Say it again.
I knew you weren't gonna let me fall.
That's all right.
And that's the kind of faith we need to know, that God is not gonna let us fall.
No.
Even though we do things wrong, we gotta keep our faith.
Yeah.
So even with all of that, Abraham wasn't worried. He said, God got this. See, but you know what God said? God said, you know, I'm gonna still see that Abraham really loved me. Now we always go around here, I got faith. I love God, I love this. Let's test your faith. Abraham with Isaac. Now we know what the story of Abraham and Isaac. God said to Abraham, He wanted a sacrifice. He wanted His only son. Now, how strong our faith is now. We read that, we can say, yeah, Isaac, yeah, Abraham. His faith. You know what? Let's just split it. Hey, Dad, could you give your son up? Be honest and true. Could you give your son up like Abraham?
Tough question.
Well, no. If you truly believe faith in God, answer's not that tough. So, would you give your son up like Abraham?
If I truly trusted in God, yes.
But you doubted for a minute there. So why did you doubt? Evidently, there was a doubt in your mind because you hesitated. Why did you hesitate?
It came down to the question of whether it was for God. That's it. It comes down to the question of, for me, it's knowing it's for God.
Okay. So guess what? When God came to Abraham and said, I want your son as the sacrifice. What did Abraham do? Abraham got some camels, some servants, some wood, his son, and he went to the place that God told him. Where did he hesitate at? Then when he got to the place at the mountain, told his servants to stay right here with the camel. While Isaac carried the stick, they climbed up the mountain. Did he hesitate yet? Why didn't he hesitate? Now, once he got up there, now you figure this is when he gonna hesitate. Now through all this stuff, Isaac asked a simple question. What was that question Isaac asked?
Where is the sacrifice?
Where is the sacrifice? He said, Father, we got the wood, we got this, but I don't see the sacrifice. What did Abraham say? God will provide. So when we got up there, Abraham drove his hand back and ready to sacrifice his son, to a voice said, Abraham, hold thy hand steady, for God know you fear and trust him. How far does God got to take us till we trust? See, I'm not putting you in Abraham. It could be anything. It can be job. It can be a place that you don't want to go, but you need to go and take care of some stuff that God wants. Abraham trusted God to the max. You know why Abraham didn't worry about God? Worry about this? See, Abraham knew, even if God would have let him sacrifice his son, guess what? God can bring him back. He knew that. Abraham knew that in the beginning. And number one, Isaac was the promise. It was going through him. So we knew God's not a liar. So we knew that was there. But Abraham had no doubts. Do we have doubts? Do we say one thing and do another thing? See, we can't say we have faith, but then when it's time to do something, well, I need you to go over there and help brother such and such. Well, you know what? I got a job to do and I can't, but it's only take 5 minutes. Well, I can't do it. Okay, but when you was hurting, and brother, can't go to help you. See, if we have faith, faith would bring us to a place that we all want to be. We want to be like Christ. That's our mission. Try to be like. But if we got that kind of, we want to have that kind of faith. So I should have no problem to any of my brothers and sisters. Somebody come up to me and say, Antoine, I need this. Can you help me? I do all I can to help. That's what I am. That's what faith is. Faith makes me go farther than I need to go. Faith makes me be true to myself. If God is true to me, I should be true to y'all. Because I think y'all my brothers and sisters. So I should have no problem. But I'm going to show you how Isaac went to Christ. Now, Isaac was born in special circumstances. How was Isaac born? What was so special about Isaac? How old was his mother, mom? Mother was up in years. We already know what's so special about Christ. When Christ was born of a virgin. Now, did we know that Isaac carried that wood up the mountain towards death? He didn't even know. Guess what? Christ carried the wood on his back up the mountain. And he knew he was doing it. He was doing it for us. They both climbed that mountain toward death. Now, a ram provides sacrifice for Isaac. Guess who's our sacrifice is? Christ, the lamb. He gave it up for us. He gave everything up for us. That's just right. That's Isaac right there. That's Isaac Christ. But I have another man who's coming up to the stand. You have, and this one most everybody can understand. Faith of Moses. Now, Moses, when God came to Moses, God spoke to Moses in a burning bush. What was so special about this burning bush? I set a bush on fire, what would usually happen?
It burns.
What was doing that bush? It wasn't consumed by the fire. But guess what? God spoke to Moses. God told Moses, you know what I want you to do? I want you to go down to Pharaoh. I want you to tell him, let my people go. Now Moses trusted God, but he doubted something. Guess what Moses doubted? The ability to speak. He figured, I can't talk like a king. I ain't got that kind of golden voice. But you know what God said? I know that. That's why I'm seeking your brother Aaron, which speak for me. So guess what? Even though Moses had a fault, he didn't let it stop him. Do we have faults that stop us? Do we have handicaps that keep us from doing the Lord's work? Now look at this. How many times Moses went down to Pharaoh? You went more than twice. I think 10 times. 10 times. But guess what? Now, Moses went down to Pharaoh 10 times. This man didn't like him. This man wanted him to quit coming. He threatened him every time he came down there. Go ahead, JJ.
So you said, Moses had a fault, and sometimes we have faults.
Yes.
But I'm gonna say this: I don't disagree with that statement. But Acts 7:22 says,
That's me. And it says that Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. So I think more so than Moses actually having a fault, possibly a speech impediment, Moses was insecure. And I do believe more often than not, we allow for our insecurities to prevent us from taking some risks or some advancements that might help the kingdom. So I think how we perceive ourselves is what really is the thing that stops us from doing some things that we should be doing and possibly can do in the kingdom.
Right.
To add on to that, I think he was looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was looking for anything apply, Lord, anything apply. I can't talk if you this, this, and God said no. So if God has for you to do something, he will give you the means to do it.
Devon?
If we look at the background of Moses, before he left Egypt, remember he went out and seen the taskmaster mistreating his brother. And he slayed the man and buried him in the sand. And the next day he went out to see the brothers falling among themselves. And he chastised them. And they said, well, who made you a ruler over? Then Moses said, this thing is known. Then he took off. He ran. You can't run from God. But years later, God sent him back there. That's when he come out with these different things. God kind of got angry with him. That's why he given his brother his mouthpiece. But actually, if you look at the background, he allowed his past, what had happened in the past. That's one of the things that he didn't want to go back there. So if you were familiar with Exodus, and I'll tell you that the men saw this light, they are dead. Now, this is a great lesson because oftentimes we allow things that happen, unpleasant things that happen to us in the past, hinder us from carrying out the will of God.
Yep, you're right. But Moses, even though he had excuses, even though he said he had fault, God gave him something to help him out. He gave him his brother. He said, you know what? I hear your excuses. So you can't speak right. Okay, what you say? You know what? Then let your brother speak first. See, we have excuses when we don't want to do something that you know we need to do. We got excuses when we supposed to what? Be here on Sunday morning, but we got excuses when we had to do something that we don't want to be here. See, we can make a lot of excuses, but what excuse you gonna give when you get to the gate? Because I believe God said you making enough excuses. God don't want to hear excuses. I can say all day, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm a person who's teaching up here. I can give you 20 million excuses why I shouldn't. But I can't give you one excuse why I can't. See, I gotta understand the faith. Moses had faith. Even though he didn't do right by Pharaoh, and Pharaoh got mad, and Pharaoh kept on going to Pharaoh. How many times would you get mad if somebody keep coming in your face? JJ, if I come in your face every day and say the same thing over and over, what you gonna do?
I'm gonna act the rest of what you're saying, or I'm gonna escalate.
What did Pharaoh do?
Yes.
Pharaoh got anyway. And God was with him. God said, you know what? Pharaoh ain't your heart. Pharaoh ain't saying no to you. He's saying no to me. So I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing till he understand that he gonna let my people go. And guess what? Pharaoh let him go. It took a lot to get him out, but Pharaoh let him go. Pharaoh said, you know what? Take your people and get out. He told him to get out. Get out. Go take them. Now, Moses took them out and everything. Moses kept his faith. Even though he had doubts, he kept his faith. Now, I'm just going to show you how Moses pointed to Christ. Now, when Moses was a kid, an infant, King tried to kill him. When Christ was when baby Jesus, the king tried to kill him. Now, when Moses got to the Red Sea, now look at this. Look how this is. God engaged you out, brought you free. As soon as you seen the soldiers coming, what do you want to do? Oh, we should have stayed with them. Don't we do that sometimes? Once God gets you out of a situation, first thing you want to do is go back to it. Now, you probably never heard it before, but I heard it one time from a minister, Brother Mellor. He said, sin is like a dog throwing up, because when the dog throw it, he goes right back. That's how sin is. You go right back to it. You just don't what the dog did. If you have faith, see, they didn't have faith. They was trapped between the soldiers and the Red Sea. And Moses looked at him like, no faith. Moses stretched his hand out. What God do? Moses had faith. God came down and split that water so good that they walked on dry land. But guess what? They still wasn't safe, they said. He felt like, no, they coming now. Let them come. Once they got in there, what God do? He drowned them. He closed it up. Christ, when he was on the boat for his disciples. He was on the boat, he was resting, and the sea was tossing and turning. Ain't that us in life? When things toss and turn? When we have problems, when we have work problems, we want to give it to the Lord, but then we end up back with it. They on the boat, and this boat tossing, and they run down to him, asking them, do you care? Do you care about us? The boat turning, everything? Jesus went up on the top and said, peace be still, and the sea still. Sometimes you're gonna have to stand up and just peace be still. You're gonna have to wave it through. If it's your job, your family, you gotta learn how to wave it through. Because Jesus sit there and he waved that through. He sit there and told them, y'all panic too much. My Father got this. If you trust in me and you have faith, then you know my Father got this. You gotta let it by back. Moses freed them from Egypt, took them out of bondage. Christ freed us. Christ gave up the ultimate sacrifice for us. He freed us from sin. He gave us a way to get back. He gave us a way. You know, I think Christ said, no man can see the Father but come through me. So if you think you can go see Christ, to see God out going through him, you got another thing coming. Now Moses, God gave Moses the law. Guess what? Christ is our law. Christ is our law. He made it better. He said, you know what? I'm gonna take that law, I'm gonna make it better. I'm gonna give you a chance. If you can follow my law, then you understand what I'm talking about. Now, I got another person. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go back up to Matthew 8, about
When, Jesus and the disciples, and they're on the boat in the midst of the sea, the Galilean Sea. It's not there. I like the fact that he was asleep in the midst of the storm. And I don't think he needed to quiet the storm because he already knew, and the way I perceived it, is that I can't die like this. This is not the plan that God has for me. I haven't completed my journey here. So whatever's happening around me, that's whatever. I think that's why he had such tranquility to be able to rest in that moment. On the flip side, the disciples didn't know, the level to which, Jesus, they didn't understand his mission. So they didn't know, hey, we're gonna make it through this. It might be rough, it might be uncomfortable. We might have to work to get the water off the boat, but at the end of it, we're gonna get to the other side. So that's why they were panicked. But for us, I think the takeaway in that story is, regardless of what's going on, if God says that you're supposed to get somewhere, however peaceful or unpeaceful it may be around you, you should be able to walk in peace. So I like that story. And I just wanted to point it out before we moved on. I also like, the references, man. I didn't think about a lot of those. So,
we saying, I know I like your messages and everything going on, but Mark was like that too. Remember when God told him to leave, leave, and he went, and his wife, God told him, don't look back. And his wife looked back and turned to a pillow of salt. So that wasn't obeying. She wasn't obeying her husband or what God said. Right? That way is about a lot. His wife turned into a pillow of salt.
You right, you did not. You right. Yeah. But, brother.
Devin had his hand up. This reminded me of a situation that I was in recently. Atlanta was teaching some young ladies. Sometimes as you go through things, you pray for one thing, and then as, well, let me just tell you the story. We were on a flight coming home, and it was a lot of turbulence. So my prayer, if anybody's been on a flight with a lot of turbulence, you know it's kind of nervous, you know, because it's just not a happy place to be, you know. So my prayer to God was, you know, smooth out the flight, stop the turbulence. Well, the turbulence didn't stop. So my prayer changed. My prayer was, Father, give me peace as we have to ride through this. I ended up going to sleep and everything. And that's, this lesson is about faith. So the faith is sometimes as you're going through rough turbulence or winds of life, and things are not changing, but you add your prayer changes. You ask God to give you the peace and the strength, whatever, as you go through. So as far as the sea goes with Christ, Christ wasn't concerned. He controls the winds and the waves. However, what he showed was faith. And what I'm saying here is that these things happen to us, and how we handle it. It's not that we're not going to have problems, it's how we choose to handle it. And when we see things are not going the way we want it to go, then sometimes we have to change our prayer. Our prayer and say, give me strength, give me what I need to go through it.
Figured I'd say something now because you keep dropping different examples. So I was back still on Abraham when you're dealing with this level of faith. And I think it's a great example now that I have children, but I think it's a great example. The Bible doesn't really discuss a lot about it. He told Sarah he got to go sacrifice his son. It just shows that he went to do it. Even with Isaac, recognizing what needs to be there for a sacrifice, but not actually seeing the sacrifice. That speaks a lot to me because of us knowing earlier when Abraham lied in order to make sure he got his way, in order to make sure that he wouldn't be in type of harm, and then coming out of those things, then going back to his belief in his faith, saying, God said this is what needs to happen. Let me trust God. As difficult or as awkward as it may seem to us, I think that is why that example of faith from Abraham is as strong as it is. And as I said, you can add other pieces in it. I know for a fact, if I had to tell you, I gotta go sacrifice him. It would be a difficult way to let me get out of that house. But just the area of how, regardless of what needs to happen, I'm gonna do what God says, and that's a heck of an example to say so.
All right, so here's the key. So listening to and have faith. Sometimes we don't know. I'm sort of piggybacking off what Greta said. So in theory, when we talk about it, when we talk about this, it's very easy to say, yeah, I'm gonna have faith, I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna pray, and I know God is gonna take care of it. But the reality of it is, we don't know what God's plan is for us. We don't know if the thing that we're praying for, God has that in line for our life. So really, what our mindset should be, and it's almost like what Greta was saying, the mindset and faith is understanding that we're in God's hands. It's not that I have faith that God is going to do this for me or do that for me, because he may not have that in the plans for you. What you need to understand is once you're under God's umbrella, once you accepted Christ, then you have faith that whatever God is doing is going to intervene on your behalf. It's going to be for the right thing. Because the truth is, we don't know what we pray for if God's going to give it to us. And we don't know if he is going to give it to us, when he's going to give it to us. So the whole thing about faith is understanding your relationship with God and being able to take that relationship and believing in the end. This is what I'm just going to put. I'm going to lay it down and give it to God, because we're all going to be disappointed. We've all prayed for stuff from God, for God, that he didn't give us. So does that mean our faith should wane the next time we ask for something? No. This means God didn't have that in the plan. So we got to be real careful about saying, praying, asking God for something and saying, I have faith that he's going to give it to us. Because we don't know what God, and God does whatever he wants, and he does it for us.
Go ahead, Jay. Make it quick.
All right, I'm real quick. Piggyback what Brother Wood was saying, I agree 100%. And I think what can help us with that mindset of just accepting that what I may want, God might not give me. What helps me is Romans 8:28 and 29. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And then 29, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestine to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. So those things, what our faith in God should allow for us to see, that regardless of what's happening, as long as I'm walking with him, walking in his will, following his word, his direction, even if it's uncomfortable, it's going to shape me and mold me into his son if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And in order for you to look like his son, you are going to have to face some uncomfortable situations. And you may also receive some things that you want in the process. So I think that's a huge aspect, but I know that helps me. I might not like it, but at the end, God is working on me. So I need to just go through this situation. That's how I view it sometimes.
Okay. Everybody's saying a lot about faith and stuff, but you know what? How would you feel when you in the fight? See, I got a man who is in the fight. See, y'all can say it, but this man lived it. So we know the story about Job. When the Son of Man came, guess who came with him? See, the devil gonna be with us. He can sit right in that chair next to you. You know what? He came and he told God. God said, where you been? Walking the earth, seeking who I can devour. Guess what? Have God said, have you thought about my son Joe? Or something about son JJ? And he said, yeah, he's a righteous man. Fear God. Pour it on him. But guess what? You can do what you want to him, but don't kill him. Now,
I appreciate you, bro, but
hey, you know what? I like this. If your faith is strong, you have nothing to do wrong. So guess what? Job was a rich man, feared God, had many sheep, many camels, many ox, many donkeys. Guess what? The devil took them all. See, we can talk about being faith when things going good. But what happens when you ain't doing good? What happens when you sick? What happens when you out of a job? What happens when you can't do this, can't do that? See, we can talk about faith when it's good. I hear what you're saying. God give you what you want. Sometimes God said, I want to see what you're going to do when you don't got it. Are you still loving me? Do you still care for me? See, I understand your faith, but guess what? God understands the truth about you.
This is something else to think about in light of what you're saying. God knew Job, because that's one of the reasons why he told Satan, you could do anything but take his life. He knew Job. The reason I said that, the Bible teaches in the New Testament, we are not tested above that we can stand. God knows there's certain things each of us cannot endure. And his love for us will not allow those things to come on us. But those things that he allowed to come on us, he knows that we can withstand it, and he knows it'll build our character. He knows us. But Job, he knew Job. And even though we know Job's life was horrible, you know, they took his children, his land, and everything, but through it all, you know, God replaced that back at tenfold. But that's why he told Satan, he said, have you considered my servant Job? He knew Job and what he was about. And he told Satan, you cannot take his life, but Satan made his life miserable. Very, very miserable. So I just wanted to add that in, along with what you're saying, is that God does not let anything come upon any of us more than that we can, you know, bear. If it's coming up on us, if it's a trial that he's allowing upon us, he knows we can bear through it. Now, there's certain things that he does not put upon us. We sometimes put certain things on ourselves. We can't blame God for that. We did that. But the trials that God allows to come on us to test our faith, he knows we can go through it.
Yeah, you're right. But guess what? You think God don't test you? You think, I mean, you're right, he don't put much more than you can bear, but it be the smallest thing to turn us down. It ain't gotta be nothing big. It ain't gotta be nothing serious. But soon as something go wrong, we fall down. Oh, we got strong faith. But when something go wrong, we don't want to turn to God no more. We want to find our own way. See, yeah, Job, you're right. Job sit there and he went through it all. From everything. But you know what Job didn't do? He never cursed God. You know why? Because he knew God had him. Doesn't matter. Does God have you? Does God have you? You always say you got faith. Does God got you? Go ahead.
To that point, it does state that God won't put more on us. Well, that he knows us, and what we can bear. But it's not like we get a cheat sheet that, Devin, this is what you can bear. So it ain't like Job knew ahead of time. They was talking to him, or talking about him and what he could deal with. So the funny part of that sometimes is not even funny. Like you've been making a lot of points tonight. We have no idea what we can withstand. But God knows. And God says, put all your troubles and your fears on me, because I can bear it. So that fear or that doubt that you're speaking on tends to come from, again, what Brother Ward mentioned, what I might want, what I don't think I want to see. But where the faith goes, as far as JJ mentioned with Jesus in the boat, God said he's handling this. God's handling this. Now, that may mean I don't make it out of this. There's a number of brothers and sisters we read about in these scriptures who died serving the Lord. Now, people always highlight the ones who didn't, but there's a number of those who had, and they did so serving the Lord, which is why you see the dangers of those who are saying, if it be so, I will die because I'm going to serve the Lord. That's because a number of people already went. I think that is one of those factors to keep in mind. It's sometimes comforting to think that God will put more on me than I can bear, but I don't know what that is. Because all God told her to do was believe in me. And God said, if this is what you're dealing with, bring your burdens to me. My yoke is easy. Lose your life and take up my cause. And if that's true, then you're no longer worried in that, because life isn't life until you're with me in salvation. It's comforting to think I get what I want, but I love the area where you're talking about faith so heavily, because the truth of it is, if that's what we're rooted into, you will start letting those things go, and when you're not, it's a more clear mirror on, I think I have faith until, and we're kind of seeing that. That's my opinion.
You probably right, but let me ask you this. If God don't give you no more you can bear, then why is it always the smallest thing not for so? If that's it, if God said leave it at the doorstep, why are we always carrying on our back? If God said my yoke is easy, why we want to take somebody else? If God said I'm there for you, then why are you paying? You can't serve me and do something else. You can't say, Father, is all yours. Oh, wait. No, see, God don't want that. See, He wants you to give your all. See, I hear people who say, it ain't what God, maybe it ain't what God gave you because God knew you can't handle it. Maybe it ain't because God didn't give you that because you can't handle it. Maybe God said, you can handle this. We can grow to get that. See, faith is something we hope to have. See, I ain't seen, and you're right, there's a whole lot of names. There's Samson, there's David, there's a lot of people who did wrong, but they got their faith back. Even though Samson got back to work, he got it. He got it. Now, is it God give us a chance to get our faith?
So,
He did.
so Antoine, what do you mean, we hope to get faith?
Well, is faith something we earn? Is faith something we automatically get?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. So I'm asking you, when you say that you're hoping to have faith, what are your insinuating?
I'm hoping, well, I'm saying this, if you have faith, now I'm saying faith is something that it's not gonna come easy, because sometimes it goes up and down. Sometimes you might say, well, I have faith, but then when something happens, you don't. Okay, we have faith. Do we have faith? We believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We believe that He died for us. But Christ said, believe Him that sent me. Now I can't say, well, guess what? I think Jesus came down Himself. I don't think nobody sent Him. No, that ain't what it is. Faith is something you don't see, but you believe with your heart, true heart. Faith is something that we work through life with. Every day we have faith. We have faith. Faith every day. I faith that I hope I can get the word. Faith, I hope this don't happen. But we ask Him through God. Faith is everything we have. That's what faith is. You know I ain't run out of time. I just take my time up. But go ahead. You got something to say?
Well, what I was asking was, you said that we hope to have faith. And I was wondering what you meant when you said we hope to have faith.
Okay, put it
Or did you just, you really didn't mean it that way?
Put it this way. Do you have faith? Why you hesitate?
Most times, because it's not cut and dry. Most times, because faith is something that faith is something that's demonstrative. It's something that's shown. And I can say that I have faith, and I get when I was teaching, I will give you guys an example. I said I have faith, but then something happened at work, and I'm worrying about it all night. But really have faith, will I be doing that? So, I have faith in some aspects, but when things are out of my control, and I don't know the outcome, sometimes my faith may wait. But the point being is, I'm trying to grow my faith as I progress down this journey. And that's all I can do at this point. Try to learn from my mistakes.
Give it to JJ then Robert.
We have faith, but we have to remember that we're flesh. And the Bible warns us we're fighting against that flesh. So that we may have flesh, but we may have faith, but sometimes you run into circumstances that your faith is not as strong as you thought it would be. And a lot of the times we get in our own way. The Bible tells us not to worry, but let us get a huge assignment. And we don't really know how we're gonna worry as opposed to turning it over to God. And I'm sure many of you all can agree that moment that you say, this is crazy. God, when you turn it over to God, it's like someone just took 200 pounds off your shoulders, because that's when that faith kicks in and you turn it over to God. It's almost, for me, it seems like it's an immediate, like, feeling.
It's Robert said, it's a process. It's an ongoing process that each of us work our way through. And what helps me when I become doubtful or concerned is that you remember the last time he brought you through. And you're like, well, he did it, he'll do it again. So it's a continual process. That's why in this Christian journey, you never really master it. You get stronger, you get better, but you never master it, because as she said, we're a constant battle between the physical self and the spiritual self, but your physical self should get less and less as we walk through, and your spiritual life should get stronger. But I wanted to put another caveat in there, because the Bible tells us that with prayer and supplication, we're supposed to be letting our requests be made known unto God. But fellowship is another key. When we get weak in our faith and we don't really understand that things are bothering us, that's why it's important to have that relationship with another Christian, because they can help you through those times.
Well, most of my time is gone. But I'm just gonna show this last bit. Even though Joe went through all of that, he kept his faith. He was blessed to get everything back. But even though, I'm gonna show you how Joe points to Christ. They both had everything. Joe had riches and everything. Jesus on the right hand of God. They both lost everything. Job lost everything. Job didn't know what was going on. He just knew everything was happening back to back to back to back. Christ came down here. After he came down from the right hand of his Father. Guess what? To save us. He came down here to show y'all I'm flesh. Guess what? I'm flesh. Blood goes through me. I hunger. I breathe. So you can't tell me if he can do it, even though he was tempted to do some things, ain't like we can't. So I hear everybody say, well, yeah, you're right. But he went through it. But we can't go through it. I know we're gonna be tempted. Yeah, we are. But we gotta realize, even though we're tempted, We had a Savior here say, you know what? I got you. But you gotta understand. I'm here for you. You're here for me. We both got you. Okay? So they both, the devil came after them. He didn't come after Job, really, he didn't take Job. Guess what? He came after God. He showed him everything. Hey, you do this, you do that. Jesus had to make tell him, get behind and say, I want to hear. You know for a fact what my father said. He did all that. Everything. Didn't bring sin in the world, but guess what? They blame. Don't we get blamed when something go wrong? You ain't do nothing wrong. Something happened, you like, must be you. You all that happened. Look at Job. His own wife blamed him, told him to curse God and die. Joe knew, Joe like, 4 years later. I was naked when I came in, naked I go out. He knew for a fact everything he had, God gave him. Guess what? Everything you had, God gave you. All through that. They both did no wrong. So we do no wrong. Did Christ do anything wrong? Christ didn't do not one thing wrong. But here's the cue about that. They both remain faithful. They both remain faithful to the Father. Even through it all. Even through Job doing all. Christ gave up his life and he remained. He came up and he by his hand there. He told his Father, forgive them. Because they do not know what they do. Now imagine somebody doing that to you. Hurting your kid. You're gonna say forgive them? You got to have the mindset of this, of Christ. Faith. My father got this. And all through that, it was blessed. Job got everything back. Christ went back to stay on the right side of his father with power. He told us, you know what? I'm coming back. Guess what? Better be ready. Now, I will get to the other one, but I can't get to it right now. But I did, with respect to the long one, but I did have some gifts for y'all and stuff. The speakers come out on faith. So on this table here, Antoine, you can pass them out. On this table, there's pens and some notes. Take one. Now, I just got some pens. Pens and notebooks. It says something on it about faith and other stuff. So I think I'm gonna have to finish with what the last period is. So to let y'all know the last one on here. You know, I'm surprised y'all for the last one. So, I'm surprised y'all for the last one. But I do want to thank y'all. Thank you for being here, for hearing me for this first time. But I'll be back next Wednesday to finish this up and bring something else.